We're talking this evening with Seema Iftikhar. Seema is a designer. She has a business in design, basically doing interiors, working with an architectural firm, so it's a combination type of enterprise. The showroom that she has also acts as a gallery on occasion for various sort of exhibitions in Lahore. Seema has also been an activist in the women's movement. She is a founder of the Lahore chapter of Women's Action Forum. Thank you, Seema, for giving us this time. As you know, we've been trying to explore, particularly because it's been an issue the last 12 years, of religion and women, etc. I'm particularly trying to explore at a more personal level women's relationship or how they perceive religion to be, particularly since it has come down so hard on women. So it's a personalized account, and therefore one is starting really with wanting to know about you as a person and your background, upbringing, sort of where were you born, what type of family, and what type of influences, especially to do with religion and education, etc. You know, what was the surrounding in which you grew up?
Well, I was born in Lahore, and the environment in my parents' home was highly sort of political. My father was very much into politics. My mother was very interested, but she was more of a domestic person, though she had very strong views. She was religious, is religious. My father was not, to my knowledge, though he did have a great moral sense, and that sense of the morals, we were very aware of the moral code, but it was not linked with religion. And ideas, one never thought about religion as a child. It was never, except that I saw my mother pray. I saw her every day read the Quran, but I never really gave it much thought. And it was never particularly, it wasn't an issue. But more than that, what was always put across was what moral codes we should live by, and our behavior was monitored, but not from a religious angle at all.
But were you not, didn't you go through the thing of being taught to pray or read the Quran, or you know how one always does it?
Periodically, yes. My mother would have, suddenly decide that I should pray every day with her. So one day came home from school and prayed for a while. It went on till I went away to study.
I mean, it went on till you went to study
abroad, which was at
so through your school years, you were
taught to pray namaz, but the Quran I was not taught.
And your brothers?
My brothers, I'm not sure whether they were taught the Quran, but I know that my younger brother did become very interested and did want to learn, and learned on his own about Islam and about Sufism and other things. But that was his education that he gave himself, and not one that was given by my mother or father.
But you didn't have a Maulvi or had to go through any...
Well, I remember that there was a Maulvi who came, who I think left in despair. I mean, not really.
You know how to say your prayer namaz now?
No, I've forgotten.
Most of us have been through that. But you went to a Catholic school.
I went to a Catholic school. I mean, neither did that affect me. Saying the catechism or sort of being in church when I went abroad or whatever. I was not affected by any sort of tutoring that I got in any way.
But it wasn't a relationship with Islam that excluded, and now talking from your mother, that say other religions wasn't. Did you get the thing that Islam?
No, because my mother would read the Bible and she would read other books on religion as well. She was not authoritarian about her views on religion. He wasn't dictatorial. It was never ever thrust on us, ever.
But it was discussed in the house and you were allowed to question
No.
it or examine it?
It was never discussed, really. To be quite honest, there were so many things discussed, but religion was not.
So
It was not an issue.
But when your brother, you're talking about Suhail, your brother Suhail, would he ever sort of discuss it, or is it something that he just kept to himself?
No, he would discuss it.
Discovery?
He would discuss it, but I don't remember him and I having a very serious chat about it. Because I think he felt I was either too immature or there were other more important things he should deal with.
But they were also much older than you.
They were much older, so I was...
There wasn't that
relationship, no.
What about, so when you went through school, were you, say, influenced by the nuns or?
No. I wasn't influenced by the nuns, I wasn't influenced by the mullahs, I wasn't influenced... I don't think I was. Not consciously. Not consciously.
Did you feel the need for religion? I mean, did you, for instance,
Did
pray
I
to pass
pray?
exams or?
Well, I once promised her I would do...
I mean, that's no promise.
I do something religious or whatever. And I told my mother I made this promise because I was desperate. I was going to fail. But I didn't, so I had to do it eventually. She made me do it, whatever I had promised to do. But that was the last time I promised to make such a rash promise. So
when you were even saying that namaz
with my mother,
with your mother, would you ask God? Did you have a relationship with God?
No, it was just something I had to do, and I did, and I was thinking of something else after that.
It wasn't something that. So you didn't feel the need for it.
The fact that I didn't memorize it must indicate that I just, wanted to do it because I was told to do it in that way. Because if I had memorized it properly, I would know it today. Or if I had kept up with it, I would have known it today.
But there was no curiosity about it at that time.
None.
And your friends around you were, you fast.
I had mostly like-minded friends. They were, there were people like Mariam who were very religious in a different sort of way. I mean,
very ritualistic.
Yes. There were people like Asma who, again, I found great similarity in background in this area. And I had like-minded friends, mostly.
So this was when you went through school? And
that's the background. After that, I got, I went abroad for some sort of an education. Religion never really, my brother died, I didn't resort to religion. I mean, I was in the deepest of depressions, but somehow, and there was all this ritual going on around me in the house and my mother and all of that, but it didn't seem to answer the questions and it didn't seem to give me what I was looking for. So I never resorted to looking into it.
But that was an extremely painful.
That was an
moment.
extremely painful experience. But I didn't think it had come from God. I didn't think it.
You didn't blame God.
No, and I didn't seek Him for some sustenance or some consolation or whatever.
But have you felt the need for it subsequently in your life? I mean, what has been your relationship?
Well, I've never. What has been my relationship? I think the first time I actually realized how much religion affected our lives was when the time at which I joined PAF in the early days, when I realized that the environment, there was a change in environment. Religion was being used by the state in an unreal way. It was a subject that was affecting me now. It had become something that was affecting my everyday life. The clothes I wore, the things I said, or could not say, or could not and that is when I actually wanted to know more about how this came to be and how this happened. And that, of course, was a political way of-
You mean how religion came about?
not how
Or how
religion
the
came
state
about,
was
how the state was using it, and therefore you had to know what it was to know how they were using it. But unfortunately, I didn't go into this side of WAF as much as I would have liked to, because there were so many other more pertinent issues at that time. Because, as you know, WAF was on such a sort of formative stage in those days.
But-
Also, the fact that I was married to a man who suddenly became religious. I mean, overnight.
What was about that experience? I mean,
Well, that was amazing because he was very laid back and quite honestly, apart from the lip service he paid to passing a shrine or Eid or something like that, he was never a religious person. I mean, at all.
what about you? I'm sorry to backtrack before I come to that. Have you been ritualistic in that sense
No,
of,
no,
salam to
no,
masjid
no,
and
no.
looking after the Quran and you haven't had that?
Well, looking after the Quran, yes.
No, I mean
but
salam and
no,
being in the right
no,
place. And
no,
all that.
no. But I haven't been averse to people who've done it. I mean,
But Yusuf wasn't.
he wasn't, and he became so because it represented the politics of the day, and he was in the politics of the time and the day. And I felt that a great insult to religion. And also I felt I felt the hypocrisy was unbearable. And it was here I was confronting it at home, and there we were confronting it also on the streets and in our lives. And it was with the hypocrisy of it made it a subject for me to think about. The hypocrisy of that time, that period.
So that means
Both personally and what was happening in Pakistan at that time.
So actually Zia's policy or the state policy at that point, because your husband was involved in it, involved with it was sort of an opportunism.
Yes.
It actually came into your home much
It came
more than
into
it did come into the homes of a lot of us
Yes.
from the same background.
Yes. It came into my home, paintings were covered, Gandhara was hidden. I mean, it became absurd. It was, like you were living a lie. And that really brought home to me how it can supposedly affect a normal household where it was a non-subject. I mean, nobody was being nasty or rude or impolite to religion or what it meant, but it became a subject of ridicule at that point in my life because we were lying, and we were lying. He was lying to the press, and he was lying in his life, and he expected me to go along with the lies, and I just felt that religion itself was insulted. I felt that it was hypocrisy.
A personal question here is, did this lead to the disintegration of your marriage?
A great deal.
The hypocrisy of it?
The
or
hypocrisy
fact
that I discovered that could be Yusuf, yes.
That could be Yusuf, or that also religion could be used this way?
No, how would that dissolve? How would that disturb
I don't know.
my mind? I mean, the hypocrisy that I discovered in the man vis-a-vis religion, in one man, you asked about my marriage, so I'm answering that question, did affect my relationship with Yusuf.
But you also mentioned that the Islamization was there coming in.
Oh,
you
yes,
felt,
yes.
Generally, you actually felt less free in the street?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes,
Can
definitely.
you recall some of those? Because nobody from, say, our background would actually have said too much to us.
But then I was...
Continue. What was our own reluctance? How did their policies actually affect us that we became hesitant? Somebody like you would not be.
Because the press was gagged, there was all this information fed to people, to women, there was a time when we thought, we wouldn't have the right to vote. There was a time when we were beaten on, the women would be. All of that atmosphere just made one aware that this can make us a second-class citizen. And actually, I sat up and looked at it and thought about it for the first time there. I would say. Because it was a two-pronged attack. It was happening outside, it was happening in the press, it was happening in my home, and it was happening to me as well.
And that's when you start thinking about religion as such. And
I didn't think so much about religion as such. I opposed anything and everything that made people use religion, or when people were hypocritically I objected to the hypocrisy. I didn't delve into religion. I objected to the hypocrisy. Because for me, religion is today it's their own business. I mean, it's not my business what your religion is, or how you practice it, or how much you practice it. But the hypocrisy, when it's used, if it is a hypocrisy with you, and if you use it, that I would react to. But why you're religious, how you practice your religion it does not make me think about it.
indeed. But you don't think the state should be involved in it?
Obviously not.
When we started WAF, we obviously started it as a reaction to what was happening, and when we realized what Islamization actually meant vis-a-vis women, there were debates within WAF, among us in Lahore, we were always arguing the point, but also between WAF and other organizations. I remember countless arguments where some of us would take the position that we shouldn't get into this religious thing at all and fight religion with religion. There were others, our own members, who felt genuinely believed that they could find a liberation within the religion if it were interpreted in a certain way. Others who believed that strategically, because people believed we should fight religion with religion. So there was that debate within WAF, and then other organizations like, say, Anjuman Jamhuriyat Pasand Khawateen, who took a categorical stand saying that we were wrong on those issues. How do you, recall what you were thinking then, and then how do you see it now?
Well, I think that one should deal with things as they happen. At that stage, I think we needed to deal with the issue because we were being, jabbed with this daily. Now, I don't think religion is an issue that should be played around with by an organization that is primarily securing rights for women. I don't believe that, but I do believe that since we were at that time confronted and we were called upon to answer certain questions, we did have to know more and thoroughly about religion and about different viewpoints. But that doesn't mean being religious.
But we were called upon by the state or by the women that we were working with?
By the opposition that we were confronting. Whether it was the state or whether it was other organizations who believed differently.
But if we didn't...
Other women's organizations particularly.
But if some of us as individuals didn't believe that we would find liberation within, Quran or Islam in this case, don't you think we were also being hypocritical and opportunistic?
No, because you see, I think that you're not, I'm not making myself clear. I am saying that as an individual, it is up to every individual to do what they please. As WAF, at that time, we had to, as WAF, think up the answers to the questions that were thrown at us, or what we were being accused of.
We had to say that we were Muslim, but we were different.
Well, as an organization,
as
an organization, we shouldn't have said we were Muslim or different. We should have said we are not. We should have been able to answer the accusations, like we are anti, Pakistan, or we are anti, or we are, Asians, anti-Islam, anti-this, anti-that. We should have clarified our position, and in that context, referred to religion if it came up, which it did.
But then you did get a bit disillusioned and sort of...
I got disillusioned, nothing to do with Islam. On religion.
Not on this issue.
No, not at all on this issue. Nothing, absolutely no. This issue, in fact, was much later.
But what was it that did make you move away? The organization itself, there were things within it that
Made me move away. Well, I had a very current situation. I had 3 very young children. I had to bring them up. I had to start working. I had to seriously start working. So I really had to cut out a lot of things for the priorities that I was confronted with at that time. And I just didn't have the time. I just physically didn't at the beginning when I was setting up my business have the time. And I lost touch.
But how do you feel about religion now, in terms of your person? Now, I'm going to ask you some very direct questions. Do you consider yourself a Muslim? Do you believe in God?
Yes.
What is this God? Who is it?
Well,
What
you
is
can
it for
call,
you?
For me, because I have no other reason to believe that this planet is here, this universe is here. I have not got any scientific answers. There is a force. There is some sort of unsolved mystery. And if you like, it could be God.
But is it sort of the way you said your father believed in you earlier said that your father believed in a morality, a higher morality?
Yes, but that is different. That has nothing to do with
God.
No.
But you think that there is something, a deity, a power,
A power.
something greater than us,
But not essentially the religious God.
And that this and Islam, that the Quran is the word of this God.
Here, I wouldn't want to put myself to any sort of answer because I genuinely do not know enough. If I studied the Quran, I might be a devout Muslim. If I studied it, if I found time and made an effort to actually get to know as a subject the Quran, I might find myself to be a very, very solid Muslim. On the other hand, it might not happen, but I have not done it yet.
But you know enough about it.
I don't, Shivani, I don't.
But on some of the say the women's issues, there's some pretty obnoxious things.
I have not actually, I don't know it, and I genuinely don't know it. If I knew it, I would be perhaps more, be able to answer you more clearly and more definitely. Though I'm speaking from ignorance. And if I found out more and knew more, I would be speaking with knowledge. So I think that question, when you direct that question, this does come up. That it is a subject I know very little about.
But would you want to? Do you feel the need for?
I want to. I do want to because I do want to. Yes.
But why?
Because it is the religion that we want to, or I want to. And it might have something that I can find kinship with. I want to discover it. I want to find out about it. But I'm not making any absolutes.
But is there
There's a curiosity. It's different from a need.
I mean, you don't feel a void.
No.
You need something.
No. I want to know about it. Like I want to know about a computer, or I want to know about gardening, or I want to know about whatever.
So it's in that category.
It is
gardening or computer or whatever.
Like when you're handicapped, when you don't know how to drive, you don't know how to, do something that you particularly would prefer to know. I would like to learn more about music. I would like to learn. It's one of the things I would like to learn about.
But it would be like reading any book.
Yes, but
or knowledge in itself.
From an information point of view.
But this God that you believe in, do you have any relationship with?
Do I speak to him?
Is it a him? What?
I haven't sorted that out.
But, do you ever speak to? I mean,
Yes,
do you ever
yes.
appeal to?
No, I don't appeal. I talk with. Or maybe I'm talking to myself, I don't know, but I feel I'm talking to something.
In terms of asking or questioning?
Questioning, asking, maybe just talking aloud, I don't know.
And does it help?
Yeah, it does. When I talk aloud, it does help. Because
if you were to talk to a therapist or to a friend, wouldn't it be the same thing?
I'm sure no. I talk to my friends all the time. But they, you see, I get immediate answers. Here
But isn't that better that you get immediate answers?
Yes, it is, of course. But sometimes the therapist and the friend are not, under the pillow while you're having a bath or whatever.
So this being is like a friend?
It's like a friend. It's not an enemy.
Is this friend good and pure, or is
No.
this friend on both sides?
No, both sides. Bit of this and a bit of that.
But there's no Satan, or there's a...
No, there's no Satan.
Do you believe in a Satan?
No.
I don't believe in this.
No, I don't believe in a Satan, but I might start.
No, what I was really getting at is that, there is...
Do I believe in the Islamic Satan?
Do you believe in a God that is totally pure and whatever, or God that's multidimensional?
Multidimensional, I would say. Again, I want to know more before I make a decision about what I think. Or come to a decision.
But why would you want to look for it via Islam? Because every religion...
I would like to know a lot about the other religions as well. I would like to study other religions as well.
Do you feel comfortable in an Islamic state, in a Muslim society? No, not in an Islamic state. In Muslim society, because there are rituals and forms of behavior. You feel akin with it and
yes.
Comfortable in it?
Culturally, yes.
In what sense?
Well, I feel comfortable. It's not alien. I might not agree with some of the rituals, but they're not alien. They're not. If I went to lived in Rome, their customs would be alien.
But if you went to live in Dubai or Morocco, would you feel akin to those people because you happen to be Muslim? Or say, would you feel more akin to them than you would feel akin to an Indian, where culturally one has a different thing?
I think that's more, it depends on the person. You can't really generalize on these things.
No,
you can't, as a nation, take a nation and say, now do I feel akin to this?
No, there is a cultural context of, say, South Asia or the subcontinent.
Well, obviously I feel comfortable in this part of the world because I belong to this part of the world. And customs and rituals are familiar.
But have you travelled in, say, the Iraq, Iran?
When I was very young.
Don't really
No, I don't really
know how you would respond.
No.
Do you make a difference between religion and culture? You
Yes.
use the word culture.
Yes, of course.
What would be the difference? When you say I am culturally a Muslim,
Yes.
and yet I don't know about Islam, what means?
That means that I was born a Muslim, brought up in a Muslim house or state or home. I'm married a Muslim. I have lived amongst Muslims. I know their rituals. I perform sometimes the same rituals. So I am culturally, it's culturally there. Whether I am a practicing Muslim is another thing. I don't feel half of the rituals that we're doing with any thought sometimes. It's just, Eid, and then it's Muharram, and then it's something else. It's sometimes, and then there's, when somebody dies, there's another ritual. When somebody born, there's another ritual. I don't think people really think about what they're doing when they're doing it, and one goes on doing it. But I mean, I haven't taken a firm stand. I will not do this, and I oppose doing that because I don't know enough, and I can only, have really a good sense of judgment when I know enough, or I know something at least.
But you do feel the need to believe in a God.
I don't feel the need. I don't feel the need. I mean, I don't feel the need is as in clutch.
But you don't. I mean, basically, what I'm getting at is that
I don't want to lean on God, and I don't want to sort of weep and wail with him, or at him, or to him, or her, or whatever. I don't regard God as such. Appeal to, or maafi mangte raho, and all of that.
But don't you think that religion sort of is also very limiting and restricting and whatever?
Like I said, it hasn't affected me except for that time, and it hasn't affected me personally. I don't think anything that happens to me falls from above. I don't think that things when they.
But if people weren't so religious or ritualistic, people would rise up and would Pakistan be a different place? I mean, Marx is sort of the saying of the opium of the masses. Is it like an opiate that does action?
Anything that is like that does action. Can be drugs, it can be heroin, it can be whatever. Anything, any escapism, if it's used as escapism, would dull or is an escape then.
But why do you feel people are religious? People are quite religious in Pakistan, religious to the extent that ritualistic in many cases, but even,
Superstition, I think.
Why are people?
I think this has a lot to do with superstition. I find that I'm always amazed at how superstitious people are. And their lives are governed by superstition. And that's awful. And they go to the mosque out of or they do bakra halal, or there's all this superstition, nazar utarni or ye wo. I feel it's more superstition than religion.
But why do you think people are superstitious?
I have no idea.
You're not at all.
No, not yet. Not yet.
You don't think
a
black cat crosses your path, or
no? I think if I'm being interviewed by a bunny, I should be
number 13 or whatever is
kill a black crow or fling it over the wall or whatever.
But you don't have that in
I don't have a superstitious nature yet. I keep saying yet. I don't know what's going to happen.
How do you relate to, say, other religions? We've been talking about Islam, but your mother was, as you said, your father, whom I remember, possibly even a little more than you because I was older when he died. But I mean, it was I remember him with a totally different relationship to other religions too, possibly because, pre-partition people did relate to a whole range of religions. How do you feel about the others, say, in the subcontinent? Do you think that Islam is in any way better or worse? Or
no,
do you feel a prejudice about the others? Like Hindu has a bad connotation.
I don't know, this is very curious, I might. But I again, like I say, since I have not witnessed living in another religion in this subcontinent, I have not had the experience of living with another religion.
But you had the experience of Catholics and
yes, but that was not the subcontinent. I mean, that's something else. And there, it's it's their behavior is not really Their conduct is not set out by religion, so religion has a different category altogether. Our religion, a behavior pattern and conduct pattern is set out. So
well, Islam does that much more.
That's what I'm saying. That is why I'm
and
saying it. You see, where it does, there it becomes more vital to know it. Where it doesn't, the people, their daily lives are not affected or, improved or deteriorate. And anyway, you don't look at they don't. I don't know how they feel about religion because it is not a way of living like our religion is.
But because Islam is a way of living, wouldn't you,
Yeah.
the person that you are,
Mm-hmm.
I mean the person that I know who hates anything that confines and whatever and always wants it to burst free, don't you find it a more restrictive religion than
Others? I really don't know enough about it. I cannot honestly
so it doesn't
talk
touch your
about
life.
something that I don't know about. I genuinely don't. Maybe when I look into it and think about it, maybe I find it does. And maybe I find it doesn't as much as I thought it would. Or I have not looked into it and I have not read it as a subject. I'm not a practicing Muslim. I don't know enough to be able to comment about how I would find it constricting or how I would find it liberating or whether I would find it great sustenance in it.
And yet if somebody asked you to identify yourself, you would say I'm a Muslim.
Yes.
Because of the cultural.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about now, coming back to the women's movement, do you think that we still need to, as Women's Action Forum or the movement, because people are religious or whatever, or women are, we need to continue raising the issues within the context of Islam? What should we do? I mean, what do you feel?
You mean raising the issues in the women's movement in the context of Islam?
Meaning that should be.
I think it should be relevant. The issues, that we raise should be relevant to anything or something that is happening. They shouldn't just be, gone through on a rote basis.
Could we say make the demand for a secular state? Because we were saying earlier that religion should not be the business of the state.
Yes, I think you should make the demand for religion not to be the business of the state.
But would, say,
the Women's Action Forum, I don't think it's that much a topic because they have much more vital issues to deal with first. But on another basis, I say that it's.
But a lot of damage is done and a lot of bloodshed in the name of religion.
A lot of damage is done, a lot of bloodshed in the name of religion, a lot is done in crime, a lot of done in various other reasons. There's a lot of cruelty. You can't all blame it on religion, you can't put the onus only on religion.
But do you think the oppression of women, that women can really ever be free or liberated or emancipated?
Why not?
No, I mean,
Socially.
If religion is there, because all religions and Islam, is patriarchal. It has inherent, all religions have within them. They're interpreted by men, they're, more or less made by men, and
I think it should, they should be, it should be looked into as from where we are standing today in time, in history, in the age that we're living. And it should now come to a point where it is not irrelevant anymore. But it's not some archaic off with the head or off with the hand or off with the foot. It shouldn't be taken so literally now, because everything has changed and there's some time has passed, and now we've got to look at it afresh, and they have to be modern versions and modern interpretations, interpretations of what was. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you should practice it 5 times a day, or now it should come down to 2 because you go to office. So, I don't think that is the issue. I think it should be looked into with a modern approach. But then again, that's for people who know enough about it to do.
You're being extremely sensible in this interview, but over the last 2 years, you have taken a much more categorical stand and not been dismissive, but many times, for instance, I remember.
Well, I'm older, by the way, maybe that's it.
No, but I say, even in the Women's Action Forum meetings, there were some of us who used to get very impatient with the use of religion, and others were more sensible, and eventually the others got their way much more. But I remember you used to react much more to it, this is a load of nonsense, why are we getting into it, forget about it, whatever. Have you changed your mind since?
No,
or
I think
do you sometimes still feel this, what the hell, why don't we just forget it?
I generally, on a general sort of basis, I don't feel what the hell all the time or any, I've learned to be more patient about lots of things. And
So
just
you've
growing old.
grown up from that
Growing
time, huh?
old. That's about it.
No, is it really just growing old, or
I think
really,
have you
rethought it?
Not really. It's not growing old, it's just having to deal with things oneself. One does become more patient and more flexible. I think one should be flexible. I was very angry. I was angry, a very angry young person at one time, and now I'm not such an angry young person. I would like to know more.